committees mean to us. And I think when we backtracked this summer and talked about Tim Reid from Northlands and I had a chance to sit down and talk about how our Northlands extension is going to look, and could it look like something that would be meaningful to the rodeo community. And so when we did that, I think just so you guys have some context for this, is everybody gave in this contract. So, you know, there's some innuendo out there about prize money going down. It's marginally going down. But what we really tried to do is take a holistic approach to this time. Neither Tim nor I have ever had a chance to actually redo this contract. And this contract's been a legacy of amendments over years and years and years that has been culminated into so many papers that it taken MIT scientists to figure out how to actually read it. So our goal was to do two things. One, really simplify it, and two, to make sure that everybody won out of this. And so when we got time, when we came in the contract, we got to a point where we talked about committees. And I said to Tim, I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could take a couple $100,000 from our bucket of funds and give it back to the communities that support this rodeo? I said I was involved in an initiative back in, I think, 2012 and 13 that was called Road to CFR. Road to CFR was really, you know, a bunch of webcasting, and we really tried to amp up rodeo a little bit in Canada to try and give it some more exposure. You know, and it came with a variety of hurdles and pitfalls, but I said this time when we call it Road to CFR, I mean everybody. So it's significant. It's probably not massive dollars to each and every rodeo community, but it's sure a few $1,000s to every rodeo community. That's a marketing initiative from Northlands and the CPRA to help support every rodeo community in Western Canada. I think that's significant. So you know, the total spend will be about $200,000. Other things that we thought were really important was, how do we support our Pro Rodeo Cinch Finals? Why is our Pro Rodeo Cinch Finals such a big deal? It's an enormous deal because it keeps guys rodeoing at the end of the year when we need contestants going to the smaller communities. And I think we've all seen the benefit of that the last few years, when guys are going down the road, get to the Cinch Pro Rodeo Finals, and they need to make that money to make the CFR. And if you don't think it's significant to them, just ask them, because they all know how big a deal it is. So, you know, a couple things. One, it keeps guys going to your rodeos, which I think is very significant. Two, I think that that's a brand that CPRA owns and we can grow for a long period of time. And we have a great partner in the Calgary Stampede. Without the Calgary Stampede, that event just wouldn't exist. So part of the money we're going to give back to that rodeo and how we make that rodeo better. The rest of the money we want to divvy up between all the communities. And I say all of them. It's not special to some that make a lot or special to others. So, you know, we're working through, Kyle Rock and I are working through all the logistics of that, how we make sure that we get that done. But I really want to make sure that we think it's significant, and maybe I'm crazy, but you know, I said to Tim when we were sitting down talking, and we were literally sitting on two couches as we talked about it in front of a fireplace, and I said, if I was going to go put on a pro rodeo somewhere, why would I do it? I said, I can't think of any good reason why I would do it. I said, and I'm sure most of you could relate to that. So I said, but what I would say is, if we could start a program where we're starting to give money back that all culminates to this event, I said, I can't see any reason why this wouldn't be successful. And so that way, when somebody calls us in the future and says, if there's a Kindersley, Saskatchewan, or someplace like that says, why would I be a pro rodeo? I'd have an answer for them. And the answer would be, because we care. And we care because we're going to give money back, and we want to grow this sport, and we all want to bring it together at the end of the rodeo year right here. So I know I've been long-winded, but I want to give you a little bit of a little bit of foundation for how we got to this and why it's significant. And I also want to thank all the committees personally. I got a call in August, first call in July, the second call in early August to come back and do some helping. And I said, nope, not gonna. But I think it was really the people in this room is the reasons why I did it. You know, I think Cowboys, and I'm a cowboy. I was a cowboy for a long, long time. I think we get short-sighted. We travel, we do all other things. We get very short-sighted about our goals and what's important to us. It's the committees that are the backbone of this organization. Without any hesitation, the next would be contractors with all their investment, and then the Cowboys. And I don't mean to belittle the Cowboys or belittle the communities, or, you know, I'm not trying to put them in any necessary order. If we don't have rodeos to go to, there's no reason to rodeo. So I think, thank you for supporting me in trying to help this cause. And I really appreciate all the kind words that people around the room have offered for me today. I want to take the time to introduce Tim Reid, President and CEO of Northlands. We really need to thank Tim. He's done a lot of great things for us in a very short order. Upstairs, we just press released a new rodeo coming out in July that's going to be held here in the Northlands building. You know, it's a $400,000 rodeo. It's a single one-header rodeo, and it's significant to our rodeo tour. So,
for giving us the opportunity to share your company. We started talking about renewal of CFR midsummer, and it didn't sound like it was going to go very well, to be perfectly honest. And but when you have something for 43 years, I think you need to cherish it. You need to realize it's part of the fabric of your community. You need to realize it's part of the fabric of who you are. And what I can tell you is I don't come from a rodeo background, if you couldn't tell. But I do really appreciate what you do. And over 3 years working with you and trying to find out why anybody in their right mind would get into the business of rodeo, I found myself announcing a renewal, launching a new rodeo, and now acknowledging the fact that what we do here doesn't happen without your rodeo committees. And we have 2,500 staff, we have 1,500 volunteers, and we have a $150 million operating budget. And I know that that's not the case in every community around your 40 rodeo committees that make this happen. You guys have $200 million in your operating budget? You want to lend us a buck? But what I can tell you is you don't get this without what you do. And so on behalf of our staff, what I do want to say is I want to say thank you. And I don't know that we've really done a great job of saying that in the past, because we're not here without you. So from Northlands to you, thank you very much. As Jeff alluded to, when we talked about what do we do next, how do we give back, we realized that we should do something differently, and that if we didn't reinvest in our sport as the Canadian Finals Rodeo and the CPRA, that we wouldn't have a sport to celebrate the way we do right now. And so we both found a way to come up with $200,000 that we're going to allocate into a fund where we can contribute back to you. And so I know how hard it is when we're advertising for the CFR to be able to find sponsors, to be able to cover the costs. And we also know that as a Canadian Finals Rodeo, we have an obligation to help you out when times are tough. So what I can tell you is next year, there'll be $200,000 that's allocated between us and the CPRA that you can access to support your rodeos so that we can make sure that we keep doing this the way we have in the past. So from Northlands to you, thank you for all that you've done. Have a wonderful CFR and enjoy Edmonton.